Trust in entertainment journalists is at an all-time low, and they've brought that upon themselves. They constantly attack the very people that they need to read their articles, and they constantly push the wrong opinions, whether that is shilling for certain companies so they can keep their access, or they praise certain products that people end up hating, or hate products that people end up loving, and then they look like clowns. And now we're hearing that the Gamurs websites apparently aren't just laying off workers, but they're basically dead, that there's really not a lot going on there. They're just empty shells of the outlets they once were, and I can't say that I feel all that bad. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I do not like to revel in the fact that people are losing their jobs, but if you suck at your job, you don't deserve to have that job. And when you constantly use your platform to attack audiences that you need to read your articles and to show up at your website, well, I'm not going to sit here and, go to bat for you. I'm not going to sit here and defend you and try to give you any sort of benefit of the doubt. And we're talking about like TheMarySue and Destructoid and Esports, all outlets that are trash now. It says, though, this is a Aftermath article, the Gamers group of video game websites, a one-time media darling, have for the past year been struggling following changes made by Google's search algorithm that have had a dramatic impact on the network's SEO-optimized content. Over the last 2 months, both current and former Gamers employees tell us things have only gotten worse. Now, if this was a company filled with people who at least respect their audiences, maybe I would feel a little bit bad for them, but this is just the response you are going to get when you push people away and when you constantly put out hit pieces against them. You call people racist, sexist, misogynists, any sort of istrophobe that you could come up with. Like, you are never going to catch me defending TheMarySue or the company that allows TheMarySue to publish the trash that they do. It says former employees tell us that using the network's Slack user base as a metric, there were approximately 320 workers registered on the company's accounts in late 2024, a number that by this week has dwindled to around 260. Now, there are lots of companies within video games and Hollywood that are struggling right now. I mean, every industry right now is definitely going through major changes, but you probably still could have kept those numbers slightly higher than that if you were putting out content that people ultimately wanted to read, because if you are not getting clicks on your website, you're not going to be able to keep your job. Of those remaining, a large number of freelance workers who say they have not only been kept in the dark about these dramatic workplace changes, receiving no notices or announcements from company leadership, but are contracted to sites that don't appear to have operating budgets for the immediate future. It talks about how after this week's layoffs, The Escapist, which lost a number of full-time staff, is mostly now posting Roblox guides. Well, maybe you should take a look at the content that you're actually covering, because sure, Roblox is still big and I'm sure that it is getting some kind of clicks. I just don't think that that's what the average person is going to go to your website to view. It says Destructoid has lost several key writers and is now being updated, with stories mostly being produced, we're told, by former Esports staff who have been moved over, with Esports now updating at a much slower pace than previously. And oh no, guys, TheMarySue was also affected by layoffs and resignations, are both down to just a handful of news stories today. Wow, my heart really does not go out to those losers. But we also know that there are plenty of other sites that have been, struggling. I mean, Geo Media back in November had cut Kotaku to the bone as more writers were laid off. This is around the time that we heard Alyssa Mercante say that she ended up leaving, but then in the lawsuit, she admitted that she ended up getting fired. Lots of drama going on over at Kotaku, but we are still talking about people that are gamer-hating activists. It says Geo Media, a network that owns websites but also knows nothing about running websites, has made further cuts at the already beleaguered Kotaku, with a number of writers announcing that they had been laid off. There are quite a few here and also announcing their departure from Kotaku, albeit on their own terms, that's what was claimed, was was senior editor Alyssa Mercante, who posted that after 2 years at the site, she was moving on. The layoffs and the departure of Mercante leave Kotaku with just 6 full-time staff, including an editor-in-chief who only joined a few months ago after his predecessor resigned in protest over Geo Media's management on the site, and they follow several rounds of layoffs to have already taken place in 2024, affecting both editorial staff and writers. Now, I'm sure you all know some of these sites that the Gamurs group owns, and the worst, in my opinion, is TheMarySue by far. TheMarySue has been putting out content like this. This was just only a few weeks ago. What do you mean? Who's picking Chikorita? The Pokemon fandom sexism is showing, and I'm still picking my girl in Legend Z2A. I did a few videos on this. Absolutely ridiculous. They source TikTok videos and then they just go around calling people sexists for not picking the Pokemon that they like. And then they also talk about how Chikorita and her iconic leaf ponytail have been the subjects of criticism and bad faith debates, held to the same double standards as the girls and LGBTQIA plus fans who have stuck by her side all these years. So just trying to push a narrative here that by not picking Chikorita, you're not supporting women and individuals of the LGBTQIA plus community. So ridiculous. And then they followed up with an article titled TikToker Perfectly Sums Up and Deconstructs Misogyny in the Pokemon Community. So I'm not going to defend anybody at this outlet or at this parent company. If you are funding this absolute fucking trash, I have absolutely no sympathy for you. Within these articles, they attack fans of Pokemon and attack people who aren't picking the Pokemon that they personally like. And just recently, they were talking about how J.K. Rowling should actually be kicked out of the franchise that she created, that, oh, the new HBO series would be so much better if J.K. Rowling had nothing to do with it. So basically demanding that a creator give up her creation, which is just so ridiculous. And gamers are absolutely wrecking gamers group, these websites, saying, oh no, anyway, and nothing of value was lost. Holy shit, is TheMarySue finally shutting down? I don't think yet, but hopefully on their way out. Maybe there will be a little introspection on why their target audiences left. It's because of GG Band of Ists. Former staff also tell us, laying off successive waves of writers throughout 2025, gamers have been actively recruiting writers from India, Philippines, and the Balkans. No need for speculation on low wages. They are and they're like that. Just in the Philippines alone, I know a few people who will beg for this job for $3 an hour. Yes, beg. People in big cities laugh at the workers when they talk about moving workplaces offshore. Time has come for white collars, apparently. Let's effing go. And there are some people who are pointing out that, yeah, I mean, it is a little bit sad to see the media go in this direction, because in the early 2000s, gaming websites were the lifeblood of gaming nerd culture. And I totally understand that it is sad to see this happening, but since Gamergate 1, there has been a problem with ethics in video game journalism and entertainment journalism, and I totally understand that nostalgia is a very powerful thing, but it's like BioWare and Obsidian and Volition. Those companies are shells of the companies they once were, and most of the people who made the amazing games we love no longer work there, and it's the same with these websites. The writers who used to actually cover games because they were passionate about games are no longer there anymore. These are people who could not make it at MSNBCs, and so they had to hijack another industry because they were fucking desperate to push their political opinions, and they saw the gaming industry as a quick and easy way to make a few bucks, and clearly that plan has not worked out well for them. So I will be keeping my eye on this to see if any other video game journos are getting laid off anytime soon, but it seems that these outlets are all shells of the outlets that they once were. They are either empty and there's basically nobody working there, or they're still pushing out politically driven slop, activism filled slop that nobody is reading, and they are very quickly failing. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.